Ayla. What can I help you with today?
Well, I think I'm really looking for some help with my dinners being healthy. I'm pretty good about breakfast and lunch, but I get home a little later and I seem to just kind of want to do something really quick and I end up eating, unhealthy convenience type stuff or, you know, instead of making good healthy dinners because they take a little bit longer. So I think some advice in that department would be helpful.
Okay, that's a pretty common problem. I've heard that several times. And so you're focusing on dinner, is that correct?
Yeah.
And do you mind if I take a few notes while we go through some things?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna brainstorm a little bit together, and it's mostly gonna be me cueing you to kind of come up with some of your own ideas to how you could possibly make some changes or what things would look like in an ideal situation. So what I'm gonna start with is just asking you to tell me, in a perfect world, what would your situation look like for a healthy dinner?
Well, I think probably part of the problem that I have now is a lot of the things that are convenient are probably like, things like pasta or stuff like that that are higher carbs, so they're just not very balanced. So probably, and especially things like meat, proteins take a little bit longer to prepare. So probably just something that incorporates more more protein and more vegetables because I think I tend to stray more on the starch side when I'm just trying to make something quick.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say your average dinner looks like? Just on most weeknights after you come home.
I think it varies a lot, which probably isn't the most helpful answer. But I mean, I would say like it's probably like less of an average, and it's either if I do a good job or I don't do a good job. So, if I'm taking more time, it's more balanced. I'll have like maybe salad and chicken, and then some like rice or pasta or something. But if I'm not taking time, then I'll just end up making like, pizza or eating like soup out of a can or making pasta with some sauce on it or something. So I think that's kind of the problem is if it's like kind of a one end of the spectrum or another end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how do you feel like you could make maybe some of those easier options healthier or more balanced?
I mean, I guess probably the one thing that would help would be just doing more ahead of time, like on weekends when I have more time. And so then that way, if I already have like some meat cooked or some salad prepared, then I'm not trying to make it after work when, I'm already kind of tired from the day and that kind of stuff. So doing some stuff ahead of time would probably be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So you think that would be the easiest for you then, personally?
Yeah, as with the exception of like, spending a lot of money, which I don't really want to do because, you can get healthier already prepared options. But I think as far as just buying base ingredients, which is what I usually like to do, probably preparing more on the weekends would be better.
Mm-hmm. And what would you like to see happen at the end, like your end result? What would you like to see?
Probably like, not buying as many like frozen things or, pasta sauce from a can, that kind of stuff. So it's already, actually making things instead of buying more prepared things.
So it sounds like you want to stay away from the processed foods more. Is that correct?
Probably some, because I think the processed foods I tend to buy tend to be just less healthy foods,
Mm-hmm.
like just things that are easy, like I said, like, soup, like soup from a can that has a lot of like salt and things like that in it, or like frozen pizza, which no one thinks that they're eating healthy if they're eating frozen pizza.
Okay. Is there any other ideas that you might have for how you can change up your dinners a little bit? We just want to brainstorm as much as possible so you can see all of your options out on the table and see what would be easiest for you.
I mean, maybe looking into some more like quick recipes would be helpful as far as planning ahead of time, kind of similar to planning, but not necessarily having to do meal prep, but not coming home and figuring out what I'm gonna do at 7 o'clock, but already having a plan, that kind of thing might be a little bit more helpful because I know there are quick recipes. It's just a lot of the time, you spend as much time like finding a quick recipe as you would making a quick recipe, and by that point you're just like kind of done.
So maybe if you had a resource for quick recipes, it would be easier for you to incorporate that. Is that?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, and probably to use that when I was doing grocery shopping would probably be helpful too. So I already have that stuff around instead of looking for things and being like, oh, I don't have this thing for this or this thing for this.
Definitely. So as far as the staples go, foods.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could definitely be helpful. And so do you have any ideas as far as like budgeting? Are you worried about budgeting or?
Yeah, I would say somewhat for sure. Like I do some monthly budgeting for I guess like my overall budget, but not as much incremental within food, that kind of stuff. But definitely I don't want to spend a ton of money. But so yeah, I guess somewhat.
So in your perfect world, just lay it out on the line. Your perfect world, how do you want to see the progression of this go? Short-term goals, long-term goals, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think kind of amassing some more routine like we talked about, and having a resource would probably make it easier. For the long term, I probably would be less likely to just reach for something easy that's unhealthy if I already knew that I had resources that had recipes that I already knew how to make, or that I knew I could make quickly, and I already had those things around. That would probably be helpful, I guess, for long term, just to not be relying on quicker things that are less healthy.
And that's a great long-term goal. As far as the short term goes, what can we work on this week? Like, what kind of changes do you think you can make this week?
Yeah, I think probably the best thing to do for short term is just to start. So probably starting to try to look for some resources to find those kind of recipes, and kind of figuring out a system at least to try for grocery shopping based on that. And then, I'm sure some of it will be trial and error to figure out what works the best.
And as far as timing goes, is that a barrier?
What do you mean?
Is that a barrier for you completing this goal, or do you have time to make food, or grocery shopping, is that a timing issue?
I mean, I guess like I don't usually go grocery shopping on weeknights, kind of like what we talked about. I usually do that on the weekends. So I think timing wise, yeah, figuring out, if I'm only going grocery shopping once a week, how to prepare for that. So that's probably like the most immediate thing, is figuring out what's going to be best for, being able to get through, 5 dinners or so for the weeknights of doing that with different recipes, that kind of thing.
So, and when you're looking for resources and stuff, just make sure that you're looking for things that you are actually going to enjoy. You don't want to just force yourself, which is kind of why I was talking about making some of the easier options that you already use. You can try to make those a little healthier. I don't know if you have any other ideas for that. Just think about what you eat on a daily basis for dinner, and think about what you could do to make those specific options healthier. So what do you think you could do in that realm?
Well, I guess this isn't like exactly the answer to that question, but it's kind of related. I guess like I eat salads for lunch a lot, but those are kind of plain, but I already have that stuff around. So I think maybe figuring out something to incorporate that to make it more of a dinner, like a meal, a bigger meal. With what I already do, I could probably replace bigger parts of those kind of convenience meals with like incorporating salad or other things I'm eating for lunch, but maybe adding more to them so they're a little less, easy on the go, things I can eat at lunch and actual dinner type meals. I guess otherwise, maybe when I am looking for convenience options, maybe trying to look for things that are a little bit more balanced, that would be helpful too, because I know there are still going to be nights that I come home from work and I'm not going to want to do anything. So having some healthier options as far as more convenient things would probably be good too.
Okay, well, that sounds great. I think we did some really good brainstorming. Do you have any other questions for me?
I guess the only thing would be if you had any suggestions for like resources we were talking about, if there's anything that you think as far as like finding quick, healthy recipes, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that there is like a huge wealth of information on like Kindle. I don't know. Do you own a Kindle or
I have like
access?
I have like a Kindle app on my phone. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That would totally work. There's a ton of different recipe books. Easy like crock pot meals or budget meals. Usually those are pretty quick and easy. Also, one of my favorite things is Pinterest. So I go on there all the time. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the resources that I would check out are either books or online resources, whichever you have access to the quickest, probably online. But that's kind of what I would look for.
Okay, great.
Resources like that, and you can also go online to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and they also have a wealth of information that you can look into.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.